And so at Level Up and Live, we say the name all the time. You see the logo, you see the name, we say the words at the end of every podcast, Level Up and Live, and the Run Club, all the social media, the marketing. And the reason behind the Level Up and Live is because me and Sean we've known each other for 13 plus years. We're going on, and we've just only ever elevated each other. He'd call me up and say, "Hey, you want to go play racquetball?" I haven't played racquetball in like a decade. I'm like, "Let's do it. Let's go." 6 months later, our competitive nature, we become almost, I don't want to say elite level racquetball players, but we were smoking everybody in our vicinity, and we would
Yep.
play for hours to the death. I mean,
Mm.
we kind of went off from racquetball. He gives me a call short period later. Hey, you want to play tennis? I don't play tennis, but yeah, I'll be there. And we do the same thing again. We get to be very good tennis players, and that's just the small analogy in the sport realm. We've done the same thing with our mindsets, just exercise, business, relationships with our wives. We've always just discussed and leveled up. And Sean's built his business, and he's taken that himself and just leveled himself up all the way up to be this great leader for the insurance agency. Built other businesses, sold them. And we've just continually been on this spiral up. And Sean got into coaching and started coaching other business owners who went through the same struggles he did. He was just so familiar with it. And we started doing the podcast together and just discussing all things leveling people up to the next level via our experiences. So we've always had conversation like, how do we bring it to more people? How do we bring a service, a product to more people to where they can get this benefit? And we have a mastermind group, and we've had guys come into the group and seeing great growth. They're doing the same thing. They're thinking the same way that we think, leveling themselves up every day. That community being together, and that's a higher level product that we put together. But we really wanted something entry level for people who are they're just now starting their journey. They know what level up means, but they haven't actually done anything about it yet, and they want to, whether it's their health, their fitness, their wealth, their, finances, relationship, any area of life, everything is level upable, right? You can get to whatever level you're at, you can get to the next level. And so a number of months ago, to be honest, we sat down and like, what can we do? And we thought about, well, how can we impact the most amount of people? And we thought about, well, what about a group coaching? Sean's done so well with the individual coaching. We do a great job with small groups, but what about a larger base where we could have a process? What is our process? Like, how is it that we, obviously there must be a pattern because we keep doing the same things over and over again in different areas, and then we keep finding ourselves really good at them because that's where we spend our time. We've leveled up.
That's right.
So we really hunkered down and figured out, well, what's the pattern? Like, what are the steps that break it down to minutia, right? Like, what do we do? And we are able to come up with a curriculum for a large group as big as it could be, to be able to coach 1 hour a week where people could come in for a low dollar amount and start their level up journey. And whatever they set their minds on, they will get that thing no matter what. Who knows what the time frame will be? Could be fast, could be slow. That is down to the individual. But we want to provide a space where people could come in and get that community, get that mindset, and start to reverse the things they've been doing that they didn't like and start introducing new things. And so we didn't just launch a brand new product and say, hey, come sign up. As all good business does, let's test that out first. So we put a beta test group together. We had 15 plus people accepted, and their benefit would be that they would get to come in and experience the curriculum. We get to observe, how did they find it? What were the results? Did it work? Sharing this on a group level, and we would get testimonials. That was part of the package, and we actually just wrapped that beta test up, and I was nervous. I was like, are people going to hate this? Like, is it going to be a waste of people's time? And it made my heart sing. My soul was lifted. Like it was only 4 weeks, 5 weeks technically, 4 weeks worth of the curriculum, the process, and there's a lot more to it. But we just wanted to test the startup, and people's lives changed from the first week to the fourth, and that's what it was all about. People had leveled up by coming, doing the curriculum, doing the work, talking. And it's been a beautiful experience. And this is all very real, very raw, very authentic, and it's all been very recent. And so we want to discuss it today. We want to discuss that experience of why we did it, how we did it, our experience within doing it, building on the business side, providing this product, and then what we've got coming for the future. So Sean, where would you want to jump in with all this?
Man, would you be able to share that experience in under 5 minutes just 18 months ago?
No, it'd be 50. Give me 50 minutes. I'll stumble through, and no one would know what I was saying by the end of it.
If you're listening to this, I don't know. I'm sure all of our listeners can probably hear that conviction behind your voice. Every second that you are speaking, that is somebody that is actually doing the work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That is not somebody that's just reading it out of ChatGPT. That is not somebody that's reading it out of a book. You actually see, that's authenticity, is you have actually experienced it in your own life, and it's leveled you up in
Yeah.
just in that short 5 minutes. And that's the impact. That's how I received that in that experience. Obviously, there's trials and tribulations that came with the building of it the last 12 to 18 to 24 months, the conversations, the sleepless nights, the anxiety, the stress. What are we going to market? What is our product? And asking 100,000 questions, it seemed like. But and it's all led up to that 5 minutes intro that you just did, and you spoke from the heart and you spoke from the soul. And if that doesn't tell you something, somebody, you level up and live community, then I don't know what does, because that's what spoke to my heart. So, man, you hit the nail right on the head. I feel like we should just end it right now. But
Thanks for saying that,
to
man.
me, that's what
Honestly, I
it's
didn't
all
realize
about.
it came out, which means it must have been authentic, because
Yeah.
it was truly, I was just recollecting, to be honest. I was
Yes.
just thinking about what has actually happened, and yeah, and
Man,
I
it's beautifully
honestly,
said. So
I
I
believe
just,
you would have done the same thing, man. I know you, and it would have been your version, but you would have said the same outcome, because it was your experience too. It was
it just
ours.
makes it makes me so happy that you share that, because I can tell you have deep conviction and authenticity behind that on what you're saying, and you actually believe in the product. Because then you talk to individuals, you talk to people in your life, and sometimes it's like, okay, do what they're saying, it's like I hear you, but do you actually believe it yourself? And in that, right, and when we have our episodes, when we have our podcast, we sometimes it's easy to say, well, I don't know if I believe that, but because you believe it, Ewan, because Sean
Mm.
believes it, I'm going to believe it. And that's
Yeah.
how I feel about this community. And just from my perspective in this journey of building Level Up and Live, and along the way, I've always been the type of individual. It's like, look, I just want to help other individuals that are experiencing or going through what I've been through. And I know you do this. I know you're wanting to do the same thing. And so you have your perspective, I have my perspective, and it's such a beautiful glove fit, right? It's that analogy of baseball, and people tell us that all the time. It's like that unison. And so we've been able to create this experience and this product and this community where we not only bring our own skill sets, but we also bring our own experiences in this community. And this curriculum is a guide, is a guide, and not and also with the support and accountability too. The number one struggle that people tell me all the time is I struggle with accountability. You can do a 4-week curriculum, but what are you going to be doing week 5? What are you going to be doing week 6,
Yeah.
week 7? That's why the Level Up and Live community was born, is so you can be a part of a community, a tribe, where you are building these relationships and you're building your life and leveling it up. It's not just level up in 4 weeks and then call it quits. No, this is a journey. This is a North Star that you are striving towards every single week. And so it's with great honor to be able to say and offer something like this, because it is taking, this, Ewan, hours to come down and find a product that is for the public, for individuals that are wanting to level up and live their best life. We're not talking to the individuals that want to leave a mediocre life. They're complacent. They're fine where they're at. We're talking to the individuals that want to lean in. They want to be 0.01% better than they were yesterday. And they know that they're going to need help. They're going to need guidance. They're going to need support. They struggle with these things just like we all do, but they're willing to invest in themselves, right? They're willing to invest in themselves. They're willing to take that leap of faith, take that courage. And so to me, that's what drives my conviction. That's what drives my authenticity, to want to pour my time, energy, and effort in to individuals to help them get to where they want to go. And I'm just speaking to my younger self. I'm just speaking to my older version of myself and bringing them. It's like the old Chinese proverbs: go down the road less traveled, but go down the road where it is that you want to go. And and there's already somebody down that road. That's what the Level Up Live community is. We're already down that road. We want to bring you with you. So in 2025, you want to level up. This is the community that's going to help you get to where you want to go, and the curriculum to do it, the guidance, the support, the accountability to be 0.01% better than you were yesterday.
Yeah, and so much went into being able to deliver that. Everything you said, like to bring it to the forum that it was, and to be able to test it out and try and see if it's going to work. A couple tidbits. It was virtual, so we had
Yeah.
everybody sitting wherever they were, checking in. And we've done in person stuff before, and we know that's where the money is at in person. And so that's always concern when we go virtual. Are we going to get that same impact? So a
Right.
lot went into that mindset of, well, when when the camera turns off and they're done with the laptop after the end of that hour, and they've done the work through the week, and then we discussed the curriculum at the
Yeah.
each Q&A. We had a live hour each week, and a curriculum that they could work on through the week to really establish what it is, their whys, their clarity, the accountability, and really hone in on what is it they want from life. Was it health? Was it wealth? Was it relationship? And what do they want their lives to look like? And how do you actually get people to take action?
Yeah.
That's our main concern. We don't want people
Yep.
to show up and say, "Oh, I had a great time," and then they don't do anything, because
Right.
that's not helping them. And that's all we want to do, is get people to take action and make a difference for themselves, so that they can level up. Because we know it will. Anyone in their vicinity will also level up.
That's
It's
right.
contagious. People who are after it will draw in other people who are after it too. So that was all a big part of our concern. And so, to me, the feedback we got, I was always just constantly surprised. I'm always optimistically pessimistic. I'm always like, what could go wrong? I always hope for the best and plan for the worst. That really is the best way to sum it up. And so I'm always listening, like, what are people's responses to this, and you can tell what's real and what's fake. And then
Yeah.
when some people were getting really vulnerable, a lot of people were really sharing what was on their minds, on their hearts. And I wouldn't have seen a number of those things coming, because they're not my experiences, it was theirs. But the curriculum was designed to where it's going to fit into anybody's goal, because it's a process to level up. It doesn't matter what you're leveling up, it's a process, and it draws out the questions that you need to ask yourself. And people were asking those questions, they were having to answer them via the curriculum. And so when they saw those things, it brought focus, attention, and accountability. So now
Mm.
they're able to hone in. And so when people were sharing their experience and what they were struggling with, and then we're seeing activity in just a short period of time, 4 weeks. It was fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I was so grateful, so glad, and I didn't see a lot of it coming. To be honest, I thought the whole thing was going to be a flop, and it was a success. And I just
I
I'm still
remember
on a high.
one of the first members that you had actually invited to come and be a part of the beta testing. I remember after our first class session, we had went through, we had, everything lined out and had a Q&A at the end. That's another powerful key ingredient is, and I remember saying is like, you got access to the one and only, you and Heinemeier, you got to come in here and ask the Q&A and get it from himself. And I remember after that class, the energy, the vitality, and the experience, just doing something different, right? It's getting out of that call, getting out of that rat race of trying to do life alone. I always say this: isolation. We put ourselves in isolation. And so it's so easy to do that because we do with what we're familiar with, and we don't want to get outside of our comfort zone. But when these members showed up and they went through the class, I remember you telling me that because we were like, where's this going to lead? It's beta testing, and we gave it our all. We left it all on the playing field. And we had that one feedback. You had jumped on a phone call right after class and you had said your individual had said, hey, look, man, I'll do like this is going to be for me.
Yeah.
This is what I'm
I
experiencing. Great
needed this.
call.
He said, I needed that, man. I
I
needed
needed
that.
that.
Yeah.
And so just that right there, that one little confirmation tells me that that's not the only individual out there that needs this,
Yeah.
right? And so that's what that's what allows Level Up and Live Community to continue to drive to where it's going in 2025 is by that feedback. And of course, is it perfect? I don't know any business out there it is perfect.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point of coming into a community like this, having beta testing, making sure that we make the tweaks and the adjustments to get it to exactly where we want to provide an exceptional experience, an excellent experience for these individuals. But I know one thing, that by having a group like this and getting outside of your routine on a weekly basis, by being able to come in and ask questions to a group of individuals when everybody else, I remember by the fourth class, Ewan, we got feedback after the fourth class and people were like, man, that was a little, that last class was a little different. That hit different. I said, well, what hit differently about it? And they said, it felt raw, felt real. It didn't feel fake. It didn't feel masked. It felt like I could come in and actually share with you a vulnerability, what's on my mind, what I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
And everybody else was engaging. We would able to help with, whether it was guidance or it was support or whether it was a question, to be able to not only confirm and validate, hey, we hear you, you're
Yeah.
not alone, but here's what we've experienced and here's what we found with it. And just that right there can change the trajectory of anybody that decides to take that leap of faith and invest in themselves.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest thing to do. I don't know why it's so hard, but to me, it's like once the person experiences it, they're like, man, I want more. Like, what do I need to do? I want more,
Yeah. Well, I think because it's not in our culture. How many other people were joining us when over the years where me and you were getting after it, competing, and I didn't really know anyone else that was pushing that hard. Like
Yeah.
you would set up the space and I'd step in and I loved it, and then we would keep spiraling up, and we've always been very honest, very open, very vulnerable, and just like really. And so that's the space that we knew we would bring to folk. So anyone that would come in, they get to share that. And whether it's like you're struggling waking up early in the morning to work out, or if your eating habits are off, or you're not responding back to people, or if you're procrastinating on things, this is for you. Have business owners in there. We had high level salespeople, all sorts in there,
Yeah.
and each of them, even though they all have different things going on, different things they want, it's all the human experience, right? Like I said, these things they're dealing with, where it's all between the ears, the brain. It's our brains, our own blocks. There's nothing really going on out here in the world that's actually stopping us. It's how we relate to those things. And so just creating a space where we can see clearly that being able to speak it out and realize, and man, a number of times people would say, it wasn't even on the curriculum, but it was based off of the work they were doing. They were like, you know what, I had this thought myself, and it made me do this, or it made me shift this direction. And that wasn't, we had not planned that, but it sparked their minds, right? Because of that space, that openness. And yeah, I hadn't really realized that until you said it there. But each week, the first week people were like, well, what's going on here? We explained, hey, this is what's going to happen. And second week, they're like, okay, we're into this. Third week, I think they felt the trust that they could say whatever they
That's
needed to.
right.
This is a space of leveling up, and you have to be vulnerable. You can't fake it. Like you can't pretend to have it all together and be like, I'm the man, because no one is. No one's the
Nope.
woman. That's just a facade. It's not real. And then by the fourth week, everyone was just kind of like the floodgates opened up.
Yeah.
And everyone was, and that's one of the special things I'll say. I learned this in the mastermind group. I'll never forget. Two guys were talking very serious, like very intent, focused conversation. We're all listening. There were 6 of us there at the table, and as they were talking, it wasn't relevant to me at all. It wasn't a problem I was dealing with, but I was able to relate something that they said that I did not know I was dealing with, a blind spot, and I was like, oh, that is exactly what I'm dealing with. And I remember it was, and it would not have happened if they had not been having that conversation. So even though it wasn't relevant to me, it was very relevant to my
Yes.
experience is what's going on in my life. And I think a lot of that happened with being vulnerable with people, especially in the group there. People could say, oh, what they're dealing with over there, so I'm dealing with that too, in my own
Yes.
way. And so now they can embrace the conversation and the answers. People feeding each other. That's what I realized that people were getting. And honestly, that's why we started the mastermind group too. You started that because we were alone, no accountability,
Isolation.
no focus, no outlet to be able to. That it's almost like a pressurized can of soda, right? You open it and the pressure is relieved.
Yeah.
And you don't do that one time. You have to do it daily, to be honest. But weekly is better than anything you've ever experienced if you've not been doing that. It's just a release and a place to come, and just level up, man. How else do we describe it?
One of the things that that I've been able to visualize, and just for anybody listening to this, is I want you to picture yourself, the possibility here of the version of you that's doing what you're doing right now. There's a reason why you've listened 19 minutes into this episode. You're like, man, this is intriguing. This is interesting. This is insightful. Really like what these guys are doing. Literally like what they're building. I can see myself in this. But the version of you that continues to listen to the podcast, that continues to YouTube, that continues to doing the same thing without actually taking action and investing in yourself, I want you to now picture and visualize yourself taking action, getting comfortable, getting uncomfortable, and saying, you know what, 2024 is good, but 2025 is going to be great, and I'm going to get outside of my comfort zone, and I'm going to invest in myself. And what I mean by that is one of the things that I learned when I pulled the trigger on coaching 3 years ago was that it was in that moment where the transaction of the paying for the coaching. But here's my point that I'm driving home. In the group, in the community, in the Level Up and Live community, when I was doing coaching, when I do private coaching for my business owners and entrepreneurs, here's the key ingredient, Ewan. They know that if they're experiencing frustration, burnout, fatigue, maybe they're feeling like they're in the hamster wheel or they're doing the same thing over and they're not getting anywhere. They know in the back of their mind, they got a weekly phone call coming up. And I can resonate with that. When I knew I'm like, dang it, man, I'm experiencing the same thing. I got a coaching call coming up though. I'm going to like pour my heart and soul into this guy. And when I would talk to him and get it out, it's not that he would solve the problem because I got it out and I was able to talk to somebody and he was able to guide me. That's essentially what we're doing in the community when the people are able to like, oh, I can't wait for the community class. I can't wait to get on here and to share because my friend doesn't understand. My wife doesn't understand. My spouse doesn't understand. Nobody understands. But 15 plus 20 people in this group, we all understand. Somebody's in there going to understand. So my point is being able to share that with somebody or a community and be able to get it out. You're not the only one, but that's where the magic happens, is being able to come forward and share what you're going through. And because one or two things are going to happen. One person's already been through where you want to go, or there's going to be somebody that's going to resonate that's going through where you want to go, and you can hold each other accountable and go through it together as you work through that. It's killer. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Now you hit the nail right on the head. Yeah. So January 2025, rolling out the product. We're super excited. We're going to be tweaking, making adjustments in between, just making it that much better. We've already gotten positive feedback. So we're going to make these small little adjustments. And if you're like, let's rock and roll, I'm ready to move forward. 2025 is going to be my best year yet. I'm ready to level up and live. Been following you guys. Cool. We'll have the link in the show notes for the pre-launch. So you can just sign up and you'll make sure you'll put your name and your email, and you'll get the letter or the newsletter when the launch date actually rolls out. So super simple. Go to the show notes. And then if you don't want to go to the show notes, send us a DM. We're on all the social media platforms under Level Up and Live, and we'll make sure we respond to you and get you the link. But outside of that, man, we're super excited, and we appreciate you being a part of this journey. We appreciate you being a part of this experience. And it's all about serving and impacting and leveling up and living your best life. So come join the journey, come join the community. And I promise you, if you come and say, Sean, that was not worth my investment, that was not worth my time and energy, we'll refund you the money. Like, promise simple. That's how much we believe in the product, and that's how much we believe in what we're trying to do. So not one time has anybody that I've ever coached or, gone through coaching has come through and said, you know what, I want my money back, I want my refund. Okay, cool. Here you go. But so outside of that, make sure you share this with somebody that you want to level up with. Maybe you have an accountability partner. Maybe you have a friend or family. Like, this is what I've been looking for in 2025. This is what's going to level me up. These guys will help me. They'll guide me. They'll support me to get to where I want to go. And like you said, in these different areas of life. And so we've put some things together, the curriculum, and it's a beautiful product. It's all packaged. It's going to have a bow, and that'll be rolled out in January 2025. So take action now. Get your seat. The link's in the show notes. Outside of that, level up and live.